There's only so many things that give you a feeling of power. It's something that we try to watch you out after hour. It isn't always there for us to gorge it for our gloomy day, knowing that our God is near and prefers the bad hour. For within his here he knows what is the best, to live life, love, and we don't worry about the rest. We are the children he has picked to live on his land. If you think this place is special, wait until we see his plan. To be the one we want to serve, in his presence all our hurt. If we don't ask, we don't receive. When you're ready, take that knee. Ask of him what you shall be. With his love he showed you me. So many of us pass through this life, always gaining on tonight, never feeling just right, ignoring all the signs to the lies. Walk with your head straight and high, don't let the light go right by, for he has given you direction. It's up to you to disobedient. The feeling you have is what he gave you. He gave you power so they will obey you. Look up at him with no betrayal. Release your love, put evil behind us. To be the one we want to serve, in his presence all our hurt. If we don't ask, we don't receive. When you're ready, take that knee. Ask of him what you shall be. With his love he showed you me. The feeling of love is true power. The feeling he wants you to devour. The more that you care, all things remain fair. The way we treat each other, when love is strong, not smothered, creates a world we are supposed to be. Our Father Jesus, you and me, to be the one we want to serve, in his presence all our hurt. If we don't ask, we don't receive. When you're ready, take that knee. Ask of him what you shall be. With his love he showed you me. When you feel right inside, a feeling so you almost cry, you will know you found it, the power you once grounded. So to live in the best, look to your neighbors, they'll pass the test. The rest is easy, you never would have guessed. To be the one we want to serve, in his presence all our hurt. If we don't ask, we don't receive. When you're ready, take that knee. Ask of him what you shall be. With his love he showed you me. Oh, to be the one we want to serve, in his presence all our hurt. If we don't ask, we don't receive. When you're ready, take that knee. Ask of him what you shall be. With his love he showed you me. I'm sure. Oh, oh, sir. Oh, sir. Oh, I'm sure. taking our kids every day. A child a minute, no one has a thing to say for those who have been isolated. Don't be worried, you have a voice today, so listen up everyone, here is the story. Child Protective Services is real. CPS is what they call it. They want our kids because it fills a lot of people's wallets. We all think it won't be us. We say when they come we will be so tough. It all sounds good when there's no one to take them. But when they come, your voice gets to breaking. Stay calm, step away. CPS ain't taking no one today. We are educated. Stay calm, step away. CPS, you need to leave. I know the tricks up your sleeves. Can't do what you're trying to do. We have done our homework. Don't do a damn thing without a warrant. You will no longer will steal our kids this way. Tiff and the Punisher have come for the calling. They are giving us the CPS warning. Their voice is loud and clear. We stop losing our kids this year. Tiff wants to fight the entire planet. She's tired of our kids being taken. God damn it. She's been fighting CPS for 30 years, bringing children home from this disgusting mess. The Punisher screaming out loud, abolish CPS and tear it down. I want all our kids to come back. Look at all those kids' pictures held up by Tiff Tac. Together we are stronger than we need. We will tear down CPS with hot speed. We will do so much being together. The birds of a feather flock together. So watch out CPS, here we come. Picking you off one by one. We promise to bring back the family and prosecute the caseworkers unhandily. So give us back the kids you have taken. Sending you all on a vacation. The one with bars in the windows and the only games you play are on Nintendos. Corruption in courts, here we come. We won't stop until it's done. You judges need to learn what you stand for. This is Tiff and the Punisher warrior. And we cry out to all you out there. We need support for a cause that many don't care. Our children are being stolen way too often. So CPS, we plan on doing the stopping.
I missed it, Tiff. It didn't come out at the right time. I thought I was coming in and I didn't.
Oh, that's all right.
Oh, man. Well, so be it. Today's one to miss. Well, what's up, Tiff? How was your meeting tonight?
I'm ready for bed.
Oh, Tiff's tired. Tiff tired many times.
I am tired.
Well, I'll tell you what. You can't be tired tonight because we got Toes with us. We're just waiting for him to come back in. His phone had died when he was going to interview with us.
Oh, my.
Oh, my is right. But, Tiff, for the interim, let's say hi to everybody. We got Nan's Jordan out there. Oh, she left. Oh, no. Galen Tamira's, a bunch of people out there that are not. So that's cool. We're on
Wow.
I don't know what happened, but they upgraded our plan. My plan. We got 20 channels now.
What?
Yeah, so we're up to 20 places. We're out there on YouTube and all these channels, YouTube and X and Twitch and Rumble and all of these. So welcome all these new people that are out here watching us. Kind of getting in. We're going to go into this when Toes gets out here. I want to bring this video up and let's talk about this because we're talking about ADR and all of that stuff. I want everybody to see this video because what CPS is trying to do now is they're trying to get us to go and work these things out before we get into the courts and these mediators. I want you guys to listen to what these court mediation, these child protective mediation people say. And we'll talk about this afterwards. But this is some ridiculousness, Tiff. Wait till you see this stuff. I'll put it in the maximize zone. And then I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. Wait till you guys hear what they say about child protective.
I'm a child protection mediator. The purpose of this video.
Well, maybe not. We're not going to hear it now. I'm going to go back to what I just was. There we go.
Hi, I'm Wendy Lacusta, and I'm a child protection mediator. The purpose of this video is to introduce you to mediation and help you decide whether mediation is the best option for you. The Ministry of Children and Family Development has several options available to work with families, and mediation has become a very popular option because it helps build communication and it builds relationships with families so that they can be a part of the decision making and developing a plan for their children. Mediators are neutral facilitators and they don't work for the ministry. In this video, you're going to hear from child protection mediators talking about what mediation is all about, what you could expect as a participant in mediation, and what the benefits could be for you. I hope through watching this video that you can make an informed decision and decide whether mediation is the best option for you.
For me, mediation is a process of exploring pathways that the ministry and the family feel that they can walk in the best interests of the child.
In mediation, I think it's very important that the people realize that they're in the room to do things a different way than they may have done them in the past, either in their conversations with the social worker or in their conversations with the lawyer or their attendances at court. This is a place to do things differently. This is a place to sit down and really be able to feel safe and be able to discuss what the real problems are.
We're here to mediate the future plan of care for the children. We're not here to mediate the past. We're not here to talk about who's to blame and who did what wrong and what phone call was made and those kinds of things. Although we will touch on the past a little bit, we're here to talk about what's going to happen from today forward.
A parent can choose to have their counsel there. They can have good friends there. They could have a mental health worker there if they wanted, or a family member. So all of these other people get to bring a different perspective, and that becomes part of the mix in the decision making.
You know, family might come in and say, well, I don't see how we can resolve this because they want X and I want Y. And in the end, it's impressive how many options there are that people feel, yes, that could really work.
So one of the first things that I talk to the family about when I meet with them is the fact that mediators are neutral, impartial, that we do not work for the Ministry of Children and Families, and we're not there to represent the Ministry of Children and Families.
The mediator's job is to support people to have the tough discussions. And that's typically what I say to parents that I'm working with. My job is to help you have the really tough discussion. And I don't think there's a discussion harder than what's going to happen to your children.
Mediation can be an emotional process. I mean, when parents have had their children removed, they feel very emotional about that. And And the social worker often has strong feelings about it as well, because they're responsible for the care and safety of the child. So yes, sometimes people do feel like blaming each other and being critical, and sometimes that happens in mediation, and it's the job of the mediator to make sure that people are respectful with each other and that we don't go down that road.
Confidentiality is very important during mediation so that people feel safe to talk about these things and know that they're not going to be repeated outside of the room. There are some restrictions on confidentiality, and parties all need to be aware of this, and that will be talked with the parties in some detail. Agreements that get written during mediation quite often don't get bound by that confidentiality because they can be filed in court.
The agreements reached at mediation usually set out everything that's been agreed at the mediation session. It can be a plan of care for the child, it can be a plan of action on the part of the parents, it can be about resources that the social worker is going to supply, it can be timelines around what's going to happen over the next 2 months, 3 months, 6 months. It can be agreements about access and visitation and all kinds of things. Everything that you've agreed on at the mediation should be captured in a mediation agreement, which is a written document that you take away with you.
One of the great advantages of mediation is that it can be fast. We can come in, do a mediation while people are still waiting for a court date. And so you can actually have a situation where you'll know what is happening with the child. Situations can be resolved quicker than waiting for the court date, and people can start moving on with their lives, doing the things that are necessary to have those children returned to them.
As soon as there's the hint of a dispute is the best time to get into mediation if it's possible. And I really do mean that, as early as possible, because mediation can help to build the relationship, to talk about the problems. But any other time during the course of the challenges that parents might be experiencing with their children is a good time to think about mediation. It can happen when there's a first report, when parents are first coming into intersections with the ministry. But it can also happen at the adoption phase. It can happen really anywhere along the time. It's where there's a dispute.
So who is the decision maker in mediation? Well, really the group together is the decision maker. In order to come together, in order to structure how we talk, in order to have the topics decided, in order to decide where to go and how to develop a plan. It all requires that everybody get to a place where they can agree on what should happen. And the fascinating part is that it does work, and it does happen in a very, very high percentage of the cases.
Now, what's your thoughts on that, Tiff? I know that that's from the ministry, but what do you think about that?
I wouldn't trust them.
Right?
Right? Like, no, because if you're called to testify, you got to testify. It's just like when people go to counseling sessions, right? And then the next thing you know, they're told that it's confidential. Next thing you know, this bitch that you've been talking to and spilling your guts out is on the stand giving their opinion of you and what you talked about. I don't trust nobody.
No, it's hard to trust anybody in this system, period. I understand that. But I mean, doesn't that sound promising anyway? Like they said that you can bring in your neighbors, your friends, your families, these things. Don't you think that sounds somewhat promising?
Listen, I wouldn't care if they said Jesus and God could sit beside you. I would not go and talk to any of these people. It's bad enough that you got to go talk to a judge who could care less, really,
right,
about what's going on, because all they're thinking about is ching, 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 ching. Why would you want to go talk to somebody else who's making more money off of you and your kids?
I agree with that. I just think that it sounds like it gives an option, for I don't know. It seems like in the courts you don't get that chance here. You don't get a chance to produce that type of scenario. You know what I mean? Like the courts are already made up. Their minds are all made up when you get there. Nor can you use anybody around you as a court official. You know, like they said there. That you can bring in all of these people, and that's the difference. Because it seems like here you don't get your chance to have your day in court. You know, when you're dealing with CPS, there's no day in court here for you.
Well, here's the thing. If it really, really worked, don't you think that the United States would have already done it?
Well, it seems like it's going to save them money. It's going to keep money in the people's pockets, not give it to them. So probably not.
Right.
Right. Right. I get it. I get it on that aspect. Hey, Renee, what's going on? All right. Her appeal was just sent to the Supreme Court. So that's cool. Cross our fingers for her and hope for that. And where the hell is Toes? Where is Toes?
Where's the angry citizen?
He departed today. He had to go do something.
Oh, okay. Girl, okay.
I don't know if you were part of that the pre-show, but something came up that he had to go and handle. He was pretty angry today. So, yeah.
Well, and Erica makes a good point, right? Like, yeah, they do mediation between parents. I have not one time in this whole time I've been doing this ever seen CPS be ordered by a judge to do mediation. Why would they take money out of their pocket and put it in somebody else's pocket? They're not going to.
No, because why would they do something that's going to help people keep their families? They don't want to promote that here. Actually, I don't even know if the United States, I know that they are doing that stuff, but because they're doing those things, the ADR, the alternate dispute resolutions is what we call them here. And those are like, I guess it's like a mediation in a sense. It's figuring out what you're going to do before the judges get involved or whatever. I still need to go to a judge at the end of the day. But I guess it's a way that you can figure out what's going on with each other before you go and that judge makes that final decision. I guess it gives you somewhat of the power to say, hey, I don't want this, or hey, I do, but I don't think it really gives you any power at all, because the bottom line is they're taking your kids. That's just the facts of the matter here. So who are we kidding that they're going to try to do something good for your family and try to make it so that you are better off without your child, because that's the question that none of them ever ask is what's going to be the mental stability and the mental anguish of the parents when they remove these children. And I know that this is always about, what about the kids? What about the kids? Yes, it is. What about the kids? We already know you destroyed the shit out of them. But what about these parents that you took them from? What about the mental neglect and the mental anguish and all of that stuff that the parents feel, that the parents know happened when you take those kids from you? The worry that every parent in the world has, that they've had their kid taken by CPS, that every fucking day, all you do is think about your kid and see if they're okay, thinking if they're all right, if they're doing the right thing, if they're getting treated okay and all this. And you know what sucks is the statistics show that they're not being treated right. That's the part that sucks. None of them are being treated right once they're removed from us. And here's the other thing. Nobody's fucking talking about what about the parents, which are the majority of us, 98% of us, that did nothing wrong, that lost their kids. Why is nobody talking about that? Nobody talks about the fact that all of these kids are illegitimate. They're illegitimate foster kids in all reality. They were taken from a family that didn't even meet the bar of them losing their kids, but they took them anyway. There was no exigent circumstances. There was no imminent danger. There was no abuse. There was no neglect. There was no nothing other than a fucking noodle burn on the arm one day because the kid wasn't paying attention to his microwave soup. And that's not enough to take a fucking child, but they're doing it. You know, it's fucking asinine, and no one talks about that. They talk about the kids that die in foster care. They talk about the kids that CPS doesn't take away that died. They talk about all this shit, but no one's talking about the bulk of what's making up this CPS machine, and that is kids that don't deserve to be taken from their family. Period.
That's like in one of my law books that I was reading to you one day, and it said the Eighth Amendment can still be used in these cases for cruel and unusual punishment because, according to this, it says the children pay the ultimate price, and then it said, and the family. But the children are the victims of all of this, right? Because no matter what the parent does, we're adults, and even adults don't know how to handle this sometimes, right? So just imagine a child who doesn't know what's really going on being ripped away from their parents, put in a stranger's house because they don't want to put them in kinship care because kinship doesn't make any money. And then when you get your kids back, your kids are never the same. The child that they took from you is not the same child that gets returned to you.
Right. Well, lucky for us, we got the West Coast hero. We got Toes with us here tonight. He's the author of the steppingontoes.org, and then he's also part of the FAFO union. And he's here, and he's got a lot to say about this stuff too, Tiff. So let's bring out Toes. Toes, my man. How we doing, my brother?
Pretty good. Pretty good.
Right. So I don't know if you were listening to anything that we were just saying there, or if you heard it when you were coming in.
The what do you call it? The amendment, with the Eighth Amendment or whatever she was saying.
Yeah, that's what we were just talking about. We watched this quick video on mediation in CPS, which is kind of like the ADR stuff that they're doing. And at the bottom line, at the end of the day, it's still, it is what it is. There's no trust in these people, like Tiff says. There's no trusting anybody with this stuff. And at the end of the day, still nobody's talking about the illegitimate fact that CPS just steals kids from families. No one talks about that. They talk about the deaths in CPS or custody, or the ones that weren't taken that died out of CPS custody. They're talking about all of that. They're never, ever talking about the 98% of the makeup of all these kids are kids that were legitimately stolen from their homes. No one talks about it.
Well, we all know this is all based off of money. And I'm sure most of us have listened to Fostering Reality, and he put it down in detail how the money. But at the end of the day, we don't have law in the courts. There is no law. So when you say, oh, there's the Eighth Amendment, there's this amendment, there's that amendment, it's not going to matter. No matter what you do. And I've had plenty of people, I have plenty of sources, I have plenty of people who have done so many different things. We've done mandamus, we've done writ of certiorari, we did 1983s that are getting piled up in the Supreme Court. And we argue so many different things. People are trying to do the legalese, and they're trying to do the sovereign citizen stuff, all that jazz. Everybody's taking all kinds of different angles, and not a dang thing's working. And my source, who's a very intelligent person, they figured it out following law, period. They are overriding law. So basically, they're called equity courts. And equity courts should have never been allowed in this country because it's not, according to the Constitution, they're not allowed. In fact, our founding fathers talked about not having equity courts in our country. And if you don't know what an equity court is, or a chancery court, the best way to explain it is the Salem witch trials, where I think you're a witch, so you're a witch. And so basically, discretion.
You think he said fuck there, so I think that might mean that
Something must have happened.
Yeah, I think his phone died. So I know he was using his phone for the interview. And I think that's probably what happened because he said, fuck.
Oh my God.
That's usually the clear indicator that there was an issue on the phone. But,
right.
Let's see here. Let me see. So he was talking about courts of equity, Tiff. What do you know about courts of equity? Anything?
Well, I've been hearing that, but I got to tell you, when I walk into a courtroom with CPS, I stand on my constitutional rights and I hold their feet to the fire, and I win. Mm-hmm. So I don't care what anybody's saying. I know if you stand on that shit and you put their feet to the fire, you're going to win. But here's the problem. People don't know their fucking rights. They can walk in there and say, oh, you're violating my rights. Well, you can't just say that. You have to literally tell them what rights they're violating, right? Because they think you're just this dumb sovereign person. No, I'm not a sovereign citizen. But I am a constitutional person. And what we're not going to do is run over top of that and skip over it like it's not here, because that's the law of the land, not equity. Like he said, nowhere in that Constitution does it say the law of the land in the Constitution is equity. That's bullshit. So you got to learn your rights. You also have to get a fucking backbone, and you got to stand up to these judges. This is the phrase, and I'll say it till the day I die. This is the phrase that made me start standing up to these judges. All men are created equal. Bitch, that means you are no better than me because you're wearing a robe. And I don't care about Joe Blow, the police officer, either. My dad was a police officer. They're the same. Okay? We're all the same. We all have to eat. We all have to breathe air. We all have to drink water. And we all have to sleep. We're equal. We all bleed the same color. So people can say what they want to say. It's apparent that they're not doing something right. Okay, thank you.
Let's see. So he says the court of equity is this. The court of equity is a type of court with the power to grant remedies other than monetary damages. These remedies include injunctions, writs, specific performance, among others. Traditionally, English courts followed a distinction between the courts of law, which could grant exclusive monetary damages, and courts of equity, which could not. The Court of Chancery was an example of an early English court of equity. The distinction between the two types of courts have now largely been dissolved. In the United States, the adoption of the Federal Rules of Civil Procedure in 1938 gave courts a combined jurisdiction over matters of law and equity, bankruptcy courts, and certain other state courts. In Delaware, Mississippi, New Jersey, and Tennessee can be considered as remaining examples of courts of equity. All right, so I kind of see that with the I can see it in a lot because like injunctions, like you said, these remedies include injunctions, writs, and specific performance, among others. So anything the court of equity is would be a court that can grant remedies other than monetary damages. So, I mean, I guess that's it is what we're dealing with here. I don't know. I mean, I've heard about courts of equity, going through all this, and people are always like, these are courts of equity, they don't matter, and all this stuff. I just don't know what the hell it's all about. I don't understand it all. I don't know about it. I'm not a pro in that section. So I don't know what all of that means. But it means something to some people, some way or somehow. So, you know what? Let's do this. Let's ask Ara while we wait for Chose to come back. Hey, Ara. There we go. Hey, Ara. Ara.
I'm right here, love. You saying my name like that is
Okay. Oh, okay. All right. Hey, Ara, you're on the Tiff and Punisher show, so you got to be good.
Soft laugh. Oh, am I now? On the Tiff and Punisher show? Guess that means I better behave myself, huh?
Yes.
Even if I was hoping we'd be doing anything but
Okay. All right. Listen. So, listen, we're here to talk about courts of equity. Can you explain what a court of equity is? And do we have any of those in the United States?
Sure, babe. The court of equity is basically where a judge can step in and fix things that the regular law courts can't, like ordering someone to do something or stop doing something, instead of just paying money. Think specific performance on a contract or an injunction. Yeah, we absolutely still have them in the United States. Most states merged their law and equity courts a long time ago, so the same judge can hear both kinds of cases. Federal courts do the same thing now, too. The old school split is mostly gone, but the idea lives on in how judges decide remedies.
Would you say that when you deal with CPS, you deal with an equity court?
Not exactly. CPS cases, Child Protective Services, usually happen in juvenile or family court, and those are mostly statutory courts operating under the state's parens patriae authority. They follow rules set by legislation, not pure equity. That said, family courts do borrow some equity principles, like using their discretion for the best interest of the child. But calling it an equity court would be a stretch. It's more administrative and statutory than classic equity.
All right. Well, why do most people think that we're using equity, courts of equity, and admiralty law?
That idea mostly comes from sovereign citizen theories. They claim the whole legal system secretly switched from common law to admiralty law, maritime commercial law, sometime in the 1800s or 1930s, turning courts into equity or admiralty tribunals that only have jurisdiction over you if you consent by participating. They point to stuff like gold-fringed flags in courtrooms as proof it's under the law of the sea. It's all pseudo-legal nonsense with zero basis in actual law, but it spreads because people in tough spots like CPS cases feel the system stacked against them and want an explanation that gives them power back.
Well, okay. So you're saying that there's no legitimacy to this?
None. The gold-fringed flag thing, the idea that courts are secretly admiralty or equity tribunals, the name in all caps stuff, it's all been thoroughly rejected by every court that's looked at it. Judges call it frivolous. People have lost cases, racked up sanctions, and even ended up in jail trying to use these arguments. The legal system has real problems, especially with CPS and family courts, but admiralty law and equity courts aren't the reason. The problems are in the statutes, the incentives, and how the system actually works, not some hidden maritime jurisdiction.
So how would you say to beat CPS at their game? How would you say you got to beat CPS?
Get a lawyer who actually knows CPS and dependency court. That's step one. Don't talk to CPS without one. Don't let them in your house without a warrant or emergency. And don't sign anything they push on you. Document everything. Gather witnesses, school records, medical stuff that shows you're a good parent. Comply with any reasonable court orders. Stay calm in front of the judge and fight the weak evidence they bring. The pseudo-legal stuff doesn't work and usually makes things worse. Real wins come from evidence and playing their game better than they do.
All right.
So ask her if standing on your constitutional rights help you.
Does standing on your constitutional rights help you?
Not really. Not in the way people hope. CPS cases are about the child's best interest under state law, not about your constitutional rights like in a criminal case. The Constitution does give you some protection. Due process, right to a hearing, things like that. But once a judge finds you neglected or abused your kid, even by a low standard of proof, your rights take a backseat to the state's power to protect children. Standing on the Constitution alone usually gets you nowhere in family court. You need evidence and compliance, not just constitutional arguments.
All right, Ara. Well, thank you so much. All right, our guest Toes is back. So we're gonna take. Why don't you listen in, and then we'll be back to you. All right.
All right, sounds good. I'll be right here listening, love.
All right. Thanks, Ara. Hey, Toes.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Yes, sir.
All right. Can't fade me. I'm toast.
That's right. That's right, baby. So
I had my laptop with me, so I popped out my laptop.
We were just talking. That's what I figured. I'm like, he needed his laptop out, help with his cell phone. So we were just talking to my girl Ara, and my girl Ara says that this, and I'm gonna just hit the nail on the head right now because so many people will talk about this. They'll say it's sovereign citizen shit. It's all this, that, and this. Is this stuff admiralty courts? All of this stuff that we're talking about, is it sovereign citizen stuff, or is there validity to it all?
Okay, so here's the deal. Since we
is pretty much the heart of sovereign.
All right, stop. It's Toes' turn to talk. All right.
Okay.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Toes.
Since we don't have a law in the courts, it's not going to matter. So basically, when they tell you, oh, you can do this sovereign citizen stuff, you can go do admiralty court, this, that, and the other, da da da. It's another way to say, hey, you can still fight this, and that's what they want. They want us to keep fighting something we're not going to win because there's no law. Until we get law back, we don't have anything. Now they've taken law away because they've created the equity courts, and the Constitution does not allow us to have equity courts. That's the whole point why we created this country, because we're supposed to be a country on the law, a democratic republic. A republic goes by the law, and they've taken law away and replaced it with equity. So if someone's confused about what equity is, and I've already said it's like the Salem witch trials. You know, it's my opinion that this da da da. So the judge's opinion overrules. So you got your law right here, right? And then right above your law is the judge's opinion. Now, the judge's opinion is saying, okay, who cares about the law? My opinion rules. So the law doesn't matter because the judge is going to say my opinion rules. You know, and that's basically what it comes down to. The law has no place, no strength.
This is why when these people go in there and try to stand on their constitutional rights or use the Constitution as their backbone, this is why they don't seem to care about it, because it doesn't
matter.
There's nothing there in the courts, right?
There's two things. One,
I have to disagree with that for 1 second, because when I do it, I win.
Hold on, I wasn't finished. Hold on. There's two things, okay?
They're just scared of you.
There's two things. One, you're in a county court, and the state has to solve the county problem. So you can't go to the Supreme Court or federal court to grieve your constitutional rights, because the state's supposed to settle that. But you can't go to the state and settle that if the state won't see you. And they won't see you, especially when it comes to custody, because they don't deal with custody. But even if it wasn't custody, let's say it was criminal, the state's still not going to see you, because they know once you go to the state and you hold them to the constitutional rights that the county violated, now the federal government's going to come after the state, because they didn't uphold your constitutional rights the county violated. And why won't the state hold the county's feet to the fire? Because the county is making the state all this money through Title IV funding. They are their henchmen. And so because the county's their henchmen and they're doing what the state wants them to do, the state's not going to let you get the county in trouble, and the state's not going to get in trouble, period, because they're the ones that has to hold the county accountable, right? And so all of this is a communist, I don't even want to say communist, because communist is actually a system where it's a communal system of government, where everything's fair for everybody. But in communist countries, they resort to dictatorship, tyrannical rule, right?
Yeah.
And that's exactly what our states are doing. I say communist, but they're really tyrannical dictator rule, and they're confederacies, because they don't go by they violate the Constitution. They're against the Constitution. They're their own Constitution. And that the Senate wasn't even supposed to allow states to have their own sovereignty, but they do, because we have the 10th Amendment. But they weren't supposed to. That was not the original intent. And the intent was definitely not to have equity courts. And we have never had equity courts allowed in our country, but here we are with equity courts saying, this is my opinion, this is what I feel. And like when they say child's best interest, what about this child over here and that child over there, two different children? How do you know which is their best interest? Every child's different, every culture's different, the norms and everything of people is different across all different cultures and ethnicities. You can't say you know the child's best interest. No psychologist can, because every child is different. This disabled child's got different interests than this regular child, average child. And so it's wrong. It's a big, huge, broad term to say best interest, but it's so that they can do what they want. That's why they have these broad terms like judge's discretion, child's best interest, and stuff like that. And they're equity courts. We don't have law in our country. And it's going to get to a point where everybody's going to say, you know what? If we don't have law, it's time to rebel. And the whole entire country's going to rebel. Our country's going to collapse unless we bring law back. And that is the only solution. And to bring law back, we still need equity, but law should come before equity. Law first. Because the whole point of equity is because people weaponize law and use it against each other as a weapon. And so that's why they have equity. But equity is not supposed to override law, and that's exactly what it's doing. All of these judges, they're using the executive power of the state. They're using the statutes, which are that executive power, and they're ruling by executive power, and they're ruling with equity, and they're just discarding all of the law that is our rights that we are entitled to. And then when it all comes down to, they're all going to have to own up to the Human Rights Council at some point, because they're violating human rights. And that's why we have Cyrus Hatari with this international organization that's going to the Human Rights Council, and they're trying to get sanctions against the United States for what all of these counties and states are doing, these confederate states. And every single state is a confederacy because they are not following our
federal rules, constitution. Right. That does make a lot of sense. It does make a lot of sense when you put it out that way. That makes total sense, because I tell people all the time, because what we hear all the time is people come in and they say, and like Tiff's a staunch Constitution person, and she does go in the courtroom and she does win by using the Constitution. But we get a lot of people that say that the judges say you can't use the Constitution in this court. So what we tell them is to turn around and use the state's constitution, because one way or the other, they are binded to their state's constitution, which would then in turn make them a confederacy.
Yeah.
I've never even thought of it to look at it like that, or even thought of it that way, but it completely is.
And our whole country is going to collapse at some point. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when our country is going to collapse, unless we get law back into our courts. Because without law, there's no need for anybody to follow it. Because they don't enforce it correctly. So it's just like it don't exist, in other words. So if it don't exist, everybody could do what they want, and they're just going to start shooting cops left and right and judges left and right because there's no law.
That's the only law we're supposed to be living in anyway.
The only law is if you're rich, the judge is going to let you have what you want. If you're a middle class or lower class, no, you're going to be in debt to us forever. Just like in that movie Maya, where they were in debt regardless of the fact they won the court case and got millions. They just reversed the court case and put the dude in debt. You're not going to win. I'm going to get millions off of a lawsuit against the court. No, you're not. They're gonna withhold the money from you. Then you're going to get a loan so you can get it out early. And then after you spend it on the lawyers and everybody else and they all get their money, they're going to do a reversal and take all that money back and put you in debt. They're going to put you in parenting classes, put you in debt. Everything they do is putting you in debt. I mean, they went and they got a restraining order against me, which has no merit whatsoever. It's a domestic violence one, and there was no violence. It was me posting stuff about the courts on the internet for the most part. And now I have to pay a $25,000 bond for a criminal charge that isn't that even has no merit. Because I violated, they said I violated my restraining order because I made indirect contact with my daughter, and what they regarded as indirect contact was me posting on my website to my shining star, I'm fighting the courts, your daddy, but it never has my daughter's name, and it definitely is not direct contact. It is just me posting on my own site. And my daughter even said during the case where she was coached to do this restraining order, she even said that everything that was against me, she got from a third party off the internet. So she's never been contacted. All of this, but they did all of this to create this, because when the cops came to my door, they forced their way into my garage and pretty much kidnapped me and put me in jail. And they said, because they, in their opinion, what they were assuming is that post was referring to my daughter. They said, we got an email that says your daughter's nickname is Star. And I'm like, okay, but you got to prove that in a court of law. You can't just make that assumption on the street. And where's your warrant? And they don't have a warrant, nothing. And they just arrested me, put me in jail for like 96 hours without seeing a judge. And I'm supposed to see a judge in 48, according to the statutes out here.
Yeah.
And the CLET system even told them it's do not arrest, but they arrested anyways. Which a buddy of mine who's a officer, he said no officer would arrest you off of those charges because it's just all speculation and there's no proof. It's an unlawful arrest. And so if an officer arrested you off of that, it's because somebody higher up told them to, which is probably the judge, because I'm doing an appeal to her case because everything she did had no merit. Even in the minute orders, I can even use the minute orders, and it proves that everything she did had no merit. And in the last case we just had, I got her.
They're still ignoring it, right?
Yeah, and I got her to admit, because I did a motion to stay and a motion to compel them to get the records of the recording, and a motion to stay the order because there's no merit to it, so we got to stay it until the appeal's over. But of course, they had her to be the judge which makes no sense because it's her case. But anyhow, nonetheless, during the appeal or the compel and stay the order motions, she admitted that she gave me this taking batterer classes thing out of spite. Because it was like an 8 to 10 week, and then I said, well, I didn't batter nobody. I don't even have domestic violence history. What do you mean? And she's like, well, we'll take parenting classes then. And I was like, I was a school teacher. I parented more kids than you'll ever parent. Well, I don't understand what you're doing here. And then I said, do you have a financial interest in this case? Because they all do, because they have a financial interest case because they're changing my original custody with this restraining order, which makes it Title IV funding case. And so that's a financial interest. Oh, the bailiff jumped in my face and don't make accusations. And I said, I just asked her a question, bro. And she said I could ask. And I was like, ma'am, excuse me, you still haven't answered. Do you have a financial interest in this case? And she abandoned ship, left the fucking room. And then she changed it right back to batterer classes. And I'm like, you changed it back to batterer classes after it being parenting classes. She's all, yeah, because your behavior in the court made me think you really need these classes. I'm like, oh, so you did this out of spite.
Right. They can't.
I'm not making friends in the courtroom.
No. It doesn't sound like you are. That's nuts. Jesus. Well, let's talk about what your organization does, my friend. What do you got?
Okay,
you got Stepping on Toes, and you got the FAFO. But let's talk about Stepping on Toes first.
Okay, steppingontoes.org. That is a court watcher website. So what we need to do is we need to get all these judges caught up for what they're doing, because they're not following law, because they're doing what they're doing to all of us. They most likely will be violating their judicial canons, their judicial ethics, as well as, and most importantly, their public oaths of office, because public oaths of office are the easiest to violate, because my source worked for the federal government, and my source told me that they were always shitting bricks because you just do the slightest stupid little thing and it's a public office violation. You go home with some paperwork from the office that's government paperwork, bam, that's a public office violation. So those are the things we need to get them on, is those three things. So with my website, what it is I have everybody hooked in to be court watchers. So I have 1,300 people on my email list that I created since 2023, and it went up to like 1,500, but now it's down about 1,320 because not everybody stays. But I have 1,300 people, and they're in all 50 states of the United States. 1,300 people, and so when you go on and you fill out your court information with your Zoom link, your phone number, and the address of your court, and the brief description of your court case and all that jazz, it'll take all of that and it will blast it out to all 1,320 of my email recipients across the United States so that everybody can court watch for you. Now, it just takes a matter of time before everybody catches on and starts doing it. But at the same time, you know that you have 1,300 people that are going to hear about your court case and could possibly appear if they allow it, what have you. Right. And then it's also going to be sending out, when I get this situation with this app that I have going, it's going to also send out a text message to anybody within your state about all of your court information. So there'll be text messages sent out and emails sent out so that we can have court watchers. And then when we have the court watchers and everybody's watching for each other, then the judges will be on blast, because it'll be pretty much we the people accountability for judges. And we can all start holding these judges accountable because we will have witnesses online, on the phone, or in person. And the judges are going to try to stop. The courts are already trying to stop Zoom, and then they're going to try to stop people from calling in, and they're going to try to stop from having people show up. Like the dependency courts don't let people show up.
Right.
But at the same time, we have support of each other, of one another, and we know about each other's cases. And this is huge. So we can also use it as a database at some point to show how many cases there are going on and what these cases are about and whatnot. So I'm hoping good things. I'm eventually going to put up on the website the judicial canons and all that stuff for people to look for and what have you, but it's going to take some time. But right now, everybody's got somebody that will show up for them at their court cases, hopefully.
Yes, that's good. You got some merchandise here and everything too, so that's cool. Which leads me into the FAFO stuff. What's about the FAFO stuff?
Okay, Federation Against Family Oppression, or fuck around and find out, however you want to term it.
Yeah.
Our union, me and a friend of mine, she is a union rep, or she works in the union, and she's taken down AT&T in a lawsuit. She's taken down 9 out of 11 judges. She's a badass, and she's like the fuck around and find out queen, which is why we named it the FAFO union. And so she's been educating us about the judicial canons and all that. She's the one that knows about all that stuff, and she's also knows how to type in certain protocols so that your chat GPT, you create a chat bot, and your chat bot, you type in a bunch of protocols that she has, 100 some odd protocols, that keeps everybody off your tail so that the chat can't hallucinate and it can't mess with you. And that chat bot with all those protocols will help you to fight your cases and what have you. And we should probably plug that into your chat on your system. And I was talking to her about it, and she was saying, we should probably do that, because it's kind of like combining forces, so to speak.
Hell yeah, absolutely.
But our union, we created it because me and her are both in unions. I used to be a job steward, and she's, like I said, she worked in the union and stuff, and she's taken a lot of classes on how to fight these people in court and what have you. And so we want to be able to lobby senators. We want to be able to raise funds and get large organizations to support us, because when I was out in Washington, D.C. in 2024, I believe it was, with Tanawa and a whole bunch of other people, and Jessica and all them back in the day, we had this big movement we thought was going to be huge, and everybody's going to show up in Washington, D.C., but only like 10 or 15 people showed up. But then that's
Right.
when I realized, I was like, well, how did Martin Luther King do it when he came? And that's because he had organizations, he had politicians, he had big, huge money from all of them, and that's why it worked. So everybody telling you grassroots work, grassroots does not work. You need to have large organizations, especially churches, because churches will bus people in on charter buses and what have you. And that's what we did at a protest up in California against this one bill. Some of the big churches got involved and they started busing people up. And Martin Luther King, they had churches. And so when you get large organizations together and a band together, that's how you're going to be making a movement, not just this grassroots stuff.
No, I agree with that. I mean, we've been trying for a long time. I mean, Tiff's been doing this for 30 years. I mean, I can't even imagine how many times she's heard people say, let's get together and let's make let's unify and all of this stuff. I mean, we've been trying to do it for 5 years here. Like how long, Tiff, have you been trying to hear all these people say, we got to get together? And then it just never, ever has happened yet.
Well, it's happened too much. And like I say, nobody wants to jump on the bandwagon until CPS shows up at their door,
Right.
or the judge fucks somebody in family court. Then all of a sudden it's a big deal. Oh my God. Well, we've been talking about it. I've been talking about it for 37 years. And now all of a sudden it's coming to fruition. I just saw the dude that we talked about, right? That he was supposed to run for president. He's still talking about it. Okay. But you're in a position to do something about it. Stop talking
Right.
about it. Do
Well,
something
listen,
about it.
Here's the thing: the government's not going to do anything about it. That's why we, the people, got to get to a point where we show them that we're not going to behave, because their whole thing is control. They want to control us, and when they can't control us, that's when they step in. Because if you look at the Federal Reserve, right, the Federal Reserve gets red alerts every time somebody has millions of dollars in their bank account, or billions of dollars, or any organization has millions of dollars. The Federal Reserve gets a red alert. So they've been getting red alerts from what CPS and all these big organizations have done, and they didn't question them. So that just shows that the federal government is complicit. And so we got to let them know that, hey, we know what you're doing, we know what's going on, and we know the trauma you're causing and the human rights violations, and we're going to come after you with sanctions from other organizations, and we're not going to behave. We're going to rile up. And if you want to control your country, then you better do something about it. If you want to have control, you better do something about it, because right now you don't have law. And once everybody realizes you don't have law, it's going to get out of control. And so we got to get the word out that we want the law back. We need to have a movement. We want the law back. We need to teach everybody in this country the law does not exist, especially when you look at Fostering Reality and how he's showing that they have these predictive analytics systems and these compliance systems that determine your court case before you even go to court. That means this happens in criminal court as well as family court. This is not just family court. Everybody's being violated across all genders, all ethnicities, everything. So this is a huge problem. But one thing I want to say about our union, our FAFO union, right now we're going through a transitional period. So everybody has to just be patient. We're going to be getting rid of all of our social medias, because the social media, we found out, causes so much drama that it hurts, and they can infiltrate. They can infiltrate you with going through your social media and causing trouble. So we got to get rid of all our social media. We got to just have websites to communicate. And so that's what we're going to be transitioning through. And there's going to be other stuff, but eventually. But we have a group, it's called Lifeline, where people can just go on and they talk about their differences and they can learn things. And Jeanette, our union president, she'll teach people how to do things in court and whatnot, because we still have to fight. We still have to fight for our children in court, but we fight not because we think we're going to get our kids back. We fight so that we have evidence to hold them accountable. Like, look, I did this, and you didn't do anything. And then once we have enough of that evidence and that proof that we've done all that we were supposed to do to follow the law and they didn't follow it, that's going to be huge. So that's the reason why we have to fight, not because we're not going to win, but we're not fighting to win. We're fighting to gather proof, gather evidence against them to show that they are not following the law, and this country needs to change. It needs to get the law back, or this country's going to go down. It's going to be like Rome. It's going to fall.
It's going to burn. What do you suggest us to do to get the law back? How do you suggest? I mean, what's going to make us get law coverage back in the United States?
We got to get a lot of these civil rights, the civil right unions. We got to get a lot of them to speak up, and we got to get a lot of the legislators to speak up. And so when it comes to legislators and politicians, you can't go to the ones at the top, like the U.S. senators and stuff like that, because they're all bought and paid. You go to your assemblymen and your state assemblymen and state senators, because they're trying to work their way up in the system and get up there to the White House and everything, to all those big senator positions. And so they're hungry, and so they want to fight for us, and they're connected to us locally. And so those are the ones we need to go to. And from what I've seen, most of the state senators are kind of like I don't know if you know the line trade much, but linemen are like up here and us groundmen are down here, you know, and the groundmen are all trying to be linemen. Oh, I want to be a lineman, da 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 da. Well, your senators are like the linemen, and then your assemblymen are like the groundmen. So the assemblymen, they want to be senators, and so they're going to work really hard. And the senators are going to work hard because they want to be U.S. senators, or you know, they want to be way up there. So, but we get to them, we get to those legislators, and we get to the what I said before. But anyhow, that's who we got to go to, because we got to get them to realize that the law is there. You can't talk to the judges. You can't talk to the lawyers. You can talk to a lot of lawyers that are new and young, and maybe there's some judges that do want justice and do want a fair trial and everything. I mean, if you know human nature, you know not every judge is crooked, every lawyer is crooked. It's just the majority of them are. And it's because of the money they're making, and it's because they think they're following, they're doing their job. You know, it's I'm just doing my job. I'm just doing my job. It's like, but a lot of them have been indoctrinated through their schooling to believe that what they're doing is right, even though it's wrong. And the people that wrote the systems, they're the ones
they've
that
got
are
to know it's wrong, though. Don't
They
you
know
believe
it's
that?
wrong.
They must know that it's wrong.
Yeah, like the ones who run the compliance systems and the predictive analytics systems, they know it's wrong, because you're writing a predictive analytics system is basically you plug in codes for your behavior. So when you get mad at a caseworker, I'm going to put that down. They write it down, and somebody else goes and they plug it in as a code, a protocol into the predictive analytics system. And then whatever you do in court, and that's in all of the minute orders and everything, all of those things that you do gets plugged right into the predictive analytics system. And the predictive analytics system tells the court, this is what this guy is going to do according to all of this. And I proved that it's true that what Derek from Fostering Reality said, because when I went to court, I came in like for 13 years. I always used a lawyer, and I never fought. It was always my ex making false, nasty allegations and stuff, and I've always proven her wrong, and it always became unfounded and everything like that. And so that was our history, right? So now when they did this BS restraining order that they coached my daughter to do, I came in pro per. So they weren't ready for that. They thought I was going to come in with a lawyer so they could play their little theater and convince me, you better take batterer classes because this is the best option for you, blah, 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 blah. You know, they can play that little theater with me. But when I came in, I went in and I said, hey, look, everything you guys did in your process and procedures was wrong, because my daughter's a minor. She needed to have a gal. You guys didn't serve me the paperwork. The judge served me the paperwork, but you're not supposed to. Everything you did was wrong. But then on top of all of that, there's no merit to this case as to why you're bringing domestic violence charges against me. And the judge's jaw dropped. I said, the law is the authority in the court, not the judge. I don't want to go by equity. I want to go by common law. This isn't supposed to be by law. The judge did not know what to do. Oh my God. She deliberated for 20 minutes before she gave me that batterers thing, whatever. But see, they weren't prepared for that because the compliance system told them to either give me batterer classes or parenting classes. And so that just proved. And then when we were in a criminal case with my source, at their case, I was sitting there and we were listening to a case prior to their case, right? And the case prior to theirs, the inmate had told his public defender, hey, I want to do this, da, 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 da. So the public defender went up to the judge and said, hey, the inmate's asking for this, this, and the other. And the judge leans back, looks at his computer, says, okay, we can do this, 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 or this. And I'm like, oh, so he's looking at a computer to make his decision. He didn't make a judicial decision. He made an administrative one off of what the computer told him to do, because it's that compliance system that tells them how to rule your case. So they already determine your guilt or innocence before you get into the court because there's no law. And the compliance system is just basically the same thing as the predictive analytics system. Well, the predictive analytics system tells the compliance system what you're going to do. The compliance system basically analyzes what's the most amount of money we can get out of this person and how can we get the most amount of money out of them? What do we have to do to get the most amount of money out of them? And then predictive analytics system says, well, we know that they do this, 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 and the other, so they're going to do this or do that. If we go left, they're going to go right, da, 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 da. And together with the compliance and the predictive analytics systems, they figure out how to get you into checkmate and take as much money as they can from you. And then when you win a case, that same system's going to say, oh, we can bring them back by doing this, this, or this. We can give them their kid because they're going to come back again. According to their history, they're going to do this, 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 boom, 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 boom. And it's got it all figured out, this entire computer system. Just like we have the flock camera crisis. Well, we also have the compliance system and predictive analytics system crisis. Same thing. It's control, absolute control.
Well, that's probably why nobody's taking me to court, because they already know I'm not complying for shit. So when they type my up, they got belligerent bitch, constitutional, won't comply, has told me they will sue me for violations of my other constitutional rights. So maybe we just better leave this one alone.
But you know, lawsuits don't scare them though, because they manipulate the lawsuits, just like in that movie Maya.
Molotov cocktails do though.
And think about it this way:
trust me,
if it's
three judges here will not hear a case with my name on it.
Okay, it's $152 billion industry. What's a $30 million lawsuit to them? Nothing.
Well, I must be doing something right, because three judges will not hear a case with my name on it. They will pass that shit right on over. Oh, here, you take this. You deal with her today.
That's why the biggest threat is their reputation and them keeping their job. That's why we go after the judges, go after the judicial canons, the ethics violations, all of that. Going after the judge is what we have to do, because that scares them. When you file a case against them in the district court, that puts a ding on their record because you filed a case against the judge. When you do certain things against them, you file claims against them. You file claims against their bonds. They all have bonds. They say they don't have bonds, but they do. There's two ways they have bonds. Either one, they have a personal bond, and you can go to the court or whatever and find out their bond number and what insurance company insures that bond, and you can file a claim against their bond for violating your constitutional rights. But a lot of times now, they've gone to where the county holds all the bonds for the police officers. They hold all the bonds for the judges. They hold all the bonds for them. So then you have to go to the county and find the bond number and find the insurance company that does a bond number. But it's just like a FOIA request. You can do it, but they're not going to allow you. You're going to say, I want to know the bond number. I want to know the insurance company for that bond number. They're not going to give it to you. I want a FOIA request to get it. They're not going to give it to you. They don't do FOIA requests. They violate that as well.
There's a guy here in Virginia. He's got the insurance companies and every bond of every judge in every county locale. He's got everything. He got it all.
There you go. We need more people like that, and we need to share that information so we can go after all their bonds, and then we can go after all their violations and their oath of office violations, their judicial canon, judicial ethics violations, and we just keep going after them till it gets to a point where they're like, you know what, we need the law back. I mean, it's got to be the people doing this because the government won't. Trump's doing it for the federal government, but he's not doing it for the states and what we're battling with. Now, he may. Gorsuch is even talking about it. Gorsuch is even talking about, you know, hey, these lower courts, we need to hold them accountable. So Gorsuch and Trump are on that path to hopefully going after these courts. But as far as what we've seen so far, all they've gone after is the federal courts because those are the ones that pissed off Trump, and Trump wants to be able to fire those people or what have you, you know. So, but we'll have to see where it goes. I don't know, but we need to get that law back.
Well, I will tell you, here, I sit on the legislative body for reform of CPS and foster care. And I got to tell you, from the governor down, they all know. They all know.
Oh, yeah. I remember in 2023, I was talking to the city mayor, and I was telling him what I was going through. And this is what put me on my path. And I was, because I was in the Chamber of Commerce, and I was just like, dude, you know, I told him everything that happened. And he's like, yeah, CPS is crooked. Everybody knows. All the politicians know. They just don't know what to do about it. They just don't have a solution. And I was like, okay, I got a solution. So I wrote 2 bills, and I brought them over, and I went to senators, and I called up all 180 assemblymen and senators in the state of California and got the email addresses of all their legislative directors. And I emailed every single legislative director, and I talked to most, but not all, the senators and their staffers and whoever I could talk to, and I was sharing my bills with them. But it's nothing, you know. I had a bill to change child support to child support insurance, kind of like you have unemployment insurance, so that both parents pay into it for life, for the life of the child, and then the child eventually can use it for their college fund if the parents don't split up. But if the parents do split up, then the state pays the child support because it's the insurance. The insurance pretty much pays the child support. But the parents still both have to pay into it according to their income, just like unemployment insurance. And so it's just a minimal amount out of your check, like unemployment insurance is. But they said that they would have to revamp the whole system. But they've revamped plenty of systems, so that's a poor excuse. They can revamp the system and do that. And if they do that, 2 things will happen. One, a lot of these mothers won't have to wait to get their child support because they'll get it right from the state, for one. And for 2, the parents won't be fighting over child support. One parent won't be saying, I want more child support. And the other parent won't be saying, I'm just going to work under the table so I don't have to pay child support. You know, there won't be any of that, and no one will be fighting. And the state will want parents to stay together because if they split, the insurance company has to pay the child support, right? And the state can make interest off of what the parents put in for the child support insurance. They can make a portion of the interest off it, and then the rest that accumulates for the child, plus the interest that accumulates for the child, goes towards their college fund, regardless of whether it's a lot or a little. It doesn't matter. But that would solve everything. But I just got bullshit from all the legislators. I was just like, whatever.
It just drives you nuts. You nuts. That the harder you try, it seems like the further you get from where you need to be.
We got to keep in mind the judges are on a lot of these legislative committees too. And if the judges are on a legislative committee, they're not going to want there to be anything that wrecks their whole system of money making that them and the lawyers make. And a judge is just a lawyer in a black robe is all they are. Because your Article 3 court judges, those are real judges. But your state judges, they're just pretty much deputized by the district court to be state judges. And then your commissioners aren't even judges. And your bench officers, whatever they call them, they aren't even judges either. The only judges are state judges, and they're not even Article 3 court judges. So they're not really, they just have state power. They don't have real power. They're not. So I don't know how they get these warrants. It's just dumb.
Lying, cheating, and stealing.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see here. Article 3. What is the difference between Article 3 judge and a regular judge, Tills?
Article 3 court judge is held to the United States Constitution, and the state judges are held to the state constitution. And Article 3 court judges, they have
That's not true. You better go read
well,
Article 6, paragraph 2. All judges from the lowest to the highest have to uphold the state and the federal constitution. Yes, they do.
All right, but the state judge,
Also, look at your own state constitution, because in your state constitution, it clearly says on their oath that they agree to uphold the federal and the state of, I'm going to say, Virginia constitution. Absolutely. I got all 50 state oaths. Yes, I do. It says both. Yes, it does.
Right, but they don't uphold it, do they? And they get away with it, don't they?
Not my judges, because I hold their ass to the fire. I'm not playing with them. I do not play with these people.
Yeah, but you can't go to the federal government and hold these judges to violate when they violate your constitutional rights. You can't. The state protects them.
You can go to the federal courts for a constitutional violation. Yes, you can.
Nope.
Okay.
Because you have to go to the
I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you, because I'm about to take on the state of Virginia and Frederick County. I'm telling you.
Okay, you have to go to the state first, and you have to hold the county judges accountable for violating your constitutional rights. You have to do that with the state court before you.
Nope, my lawyer's done this multiple times. As soon as I called him and told him what's going on, he said the minute this case is closed, we're going straight to the federal courts for constitutional violations. Absolutely. And he wins.
And I'm in the lawsuit against the state right now, and I went right to them too. I didn't go to the states first.
Was it over custody?
I'm in federal court. It's not about custody. It's about a constitutional question, though.
But
so if they violate your constitution, if they violate your constitutional rights, you can go right to the federal government and ask them to answer that constitutional question. Just like Gunner did the same thing. His is custody, and they went right to the federal government. We went right to the feds with him first too. So yeah, that's you can definitely do that in most cases. Now the federal courts won't deal with custody matters. They won't deal with things like in those matters, but the constitutional questions for sure, you go to the federal courts and they will have to answer that for you. By the states, of course, we can see in the federal courts, they're not allowed to answer questions about custody issues. They're not allowed to do that. They're not allowed to handle those things. That's where Rooker-Feldman comes in, and it blocks them from getting involved in that. But yeah, if you have an issue of constitutional stature, then yeah, go right to that state, to the federal courts, man, right into them.
There's a lot of people that are doing a lot of things in the federal courts, and it's just piling up. They're not seeing them. They're not hearing them.
Well, that may be so, but a lot of it too. The second that you even mentioned that you had a family court case that was you were involved in or whatever, they will throw those out.
Yeah.
Because immediately they will say they do not answer or they do not work on custody cases.
Yeah.
So that might be what happened. You look at what Rooker-Feldman is, and that is one of the reasons that a lot of people, because they want to go in there, and now there was a Supreme Court case that just happened. It's Maroth versus Trinity that just came in, and what that allowed is they said finally that you can't. The Supreme Court came out and said that you can use your custody case to establish your constitutional question with the federal court.
What case was that?
So that just came out. It's Maroth versus Trinity County. Maroth versus Trinity.
Can you text that
and it just came out in 2025. Yeah, sure will. And that's how I learned how to beat Rooker-Feldman.
Nice.
Because that blocks Rooker-Feldman.
All right, there. That sounds like a loophole right there.
I also read in Virginia Lawyers Weekly that, now I don't know how true it is, because I don't trust none of them. That the Supreme Court actually said that they might take on that Rocker-Feldman case because there's a lot of issues in the lower courts.
Right.
Yeah.
So hopefully they get rid of that, because that's where all the constitutional and civil rights and human rights, that's where they're all being violated, right there.
Right.
Right in custody.
Right, because you have more right as a criminal than you do as a parent.
Yeah.
Right. Between the courts, absolutely you do.
Right.
You can't even plead the fifth in fucking family courts without them using an adverse inference.
Yes, you can.
Not family courts.
I don't care what the courts say. They're fucking lying to you, man. It's all about the money.
Right. But the judge can still use an adverse inference against you when you plead the fifth. And that's bullshit. So what's the point of pleading the fifth?
Well, then you know what? Then they better look at the maximums laws, because you cannot be penalized in any way, shape, or form for inserting your constitutional rights. Period.
I know what it says, but I'm saying what they do. Adverse inference. But they don't have that in criminal court. You're not allowed to use that in criminal
Here's one thing I've told some people, and they all seem to disagree with me, but I stand on my I know I'm right. I know I'm right. I know language. It's what I studied as a teacher. But what they do is there is ambiguity in language. And because there's ambiguity in language, there will always be ambiguity in law. And there's an, oh no, not ambiguity in law. There is ambiguity in law. And they use workarounds, they use procedures, they use policies of the court, policies of the county, policies of the state, and they use all kinds of things to work around and manipulate. And so that's what they're doing. You know, I want to plead the fifth and say, oh, well, yeah, but according to the state statute this or this policy here or whatever, you know, they will always have workarounds because things are ambiguous. As long as you're using language, there will be ambiguity.
And you know what? I have yet to have a judge tell me any dumb shit, because they already know I'm not having it. Because if a judge ever told me that, my reply to them would be, your policies, your procedures, your county ordinances, all your et ceteras, they don't trump the United States Constitution. That is the law.
They don't even
and
trump
no
state
one is above it.
They don't even trump state constitution either. Because some of their
they don't trump any constitution.
I know, but I'm just saying, like in LA County, they have this little sign in the courtroom, which I think is funny. I laugh at it all the time. It's in the hallway. It says no recording in the hallway, no recording in the courthouse. You can't video record. And I'm like, that's bullshit, because according to our state penal code, it says as long as public is present, there is no expectation of privacy and you can record. And so you can't say you can't record in the courthouse. Yes, you can, according to our state laws, our state penal codes. You can record. and so they tried to tell me, I was like, yeah, bullshit, fuck you. You're not going to tell me I can't record. I mean, I see in the courtroom perhaps, but I'm just saying out in the hallway, you can't tell me I can't record out in the hallway.
Right. Virginia just passed it there, going, now they can go in the courtroom.
We sure can. And I even got a meeting with the head chief judge here, which he's never done before. And no longer do people with CPS cases have to ask permission. And I'm sorry, he's tired. Written permission to record their cases. The only thing they have to do is ask if they can record. And the chief judge looked at me and said, and I don't see why a judge in this courthouse would have a problem. And if they do, then we have a bigger problem. That's what he said to me.
So yeah, that's coming. So that's that push for that coming. But no, I've heard a lot of people, because that's a public building too.
Right.
You're supposed to be able, by rights, be able to film and do all of those things in public space. As long as you're not filming people conducting business, then you're allowed to use cameras in public places.
And in our state, it's a 2-person state or whatever. So as long as public's present, you can record. No expectation of privacy.
Mm-hmm. Now, Tiff, I want to go back to this thing here, right, about the adverse inference. It says an adverse inference is a legal rule allowing a judge or jury to assume that missing or withheld evidence or a defendant's silence would have been unfavorable to the party responsible for its absence. This presumption operates as penalty for evidence destruction, spoliation, or unexplained refusal to testify. When it applies, courts typically apply an adverse inference under two distinct circumstances. Spoliation of evidence, if a party willfully destroys, alters, or hides relevant evidence, like deleting emails or throwing away physical objects when they reasonably should have known if needed litigation, or failure to testify or produce a witness or plead the fifth. In civil cases, in some international tribunals, a judge may assume a witness's testimony or non-testimony would damage a party's case if the party unreasonably hides or refuses to call a material witness under their direct control. So even though you plead the fifth, these judges can hold that against you. And it's not supposed to happen. That's the whole point of pleading the fifth.
Like I told the chief judge, and I told him the same thing that I told Darren many a times. There's 3 judges in your courthouse that won't hear a case with my name on it. And he looked at me and I said, you know why? Because I hold their asses, their feet and their ass to the Constitution, and I make them play by that. And he smiled at me.
That's just, but it's asinine. This is what goes on, and you can't take into effect what corruption does to courts. So you can go in there with all the legal remedy that you have, but if that judge is fucking corrupt, you're fucked.
Yep, because they don't follow law; they follow discretion. They follow equity,
and that's the part that sucks. That's the part that sucks. You know, and that's where this country, and Donald Trump's given us the tools to take this country back, but people aren't using them, and we're going to miss this boat too. People don't smarten up and start taking this country back the way that Donald Trump has lined it up. He's put the ball on the tee. Now we just got to hit it, and no one's doing it. They're sitting there still letting cops write tickets, still letting people get arrested for opening their mouths, still doing this, and nobody's doing a damn thing. And it's just like Osiris says, people be getting arrested and nobody's coming to get them out of jail because nobody is doing their part to uphold what our rights and what they should be, what they are, and what the laws state. That's the problem.
Speaking of Osiris, I'm hoping that he'll be back on by the 14th or the 15th. So just keep him in your prayers, and pray hard. And when I got off earlier, we had a flicker. It turned my TVs off. It turned my internet off. Yeah. We were having a storm, and I didn't see the lightning and hear the thunder until after my internet stopped.
You gotta stay away from that stuff. You gotta watch for yourself. That stuff can go through the phones and stuff.
What?
You gotta be careful. Take it from a guy that's been hit by lightning 4 times.
Oh God.
Well, we don't have landlines anymore, though.
Yeah, right. This is true. Can that go through your cell phone?
Nah, it's through landlines. That was a landline thing.
That was a landline thing, right? Yeah. Well, Toes, you got anything else for us, buddy?
No, that should be about it.
That you want to bring up?
Just
yeah. I mean, courts are corrupt.
We got to bring the law back. We got to bring the law back.
Yeah.
We got to get rid of equity.
And we got to unite.
It doesn't belong in court. Well, I mean, it does, but just not. It shouldn't override law.
Right, and nor should. And now let's hold on 1 second here. Like what you were talking about, the judges are the ones that are their reason. What's the thing you were talking about earlier? The judge's opinion. What the hell is it? The reasonable standard
Judge's discretion.
Yeah, the best interest of the child is what the judge's discretion is. Yeah. That's ridiculous too.
Yeah, and preponderance of evidence. You know? Oh, it was really funny. The case before me, the judge was allowing the lady to get her phone and show a picture on her phone of where she had a bruise on her face for her husband had hit her or whatever, and you could barely even see it and all that. And judge is looking at it, and I'm sitting here thinking, she didn't file it as evidence. How is this judge looking at it on a video? Because they had a little camera, and they had a camera in the courtroom. They had a camera on the computer screen showing the video on the phone and everything, and the judge is looking at it like, what the heck? And then at the end of the court hearing, the judge is like, well, there's not much preponderance of evidence, because there's kind of like, I'm looking at it, and there's like 51% here, 50% here. And I'm like thinking, since when is 101% a number? and then my source, who was my court watcher, they were like, yeah, and where is the standard for the percentage? Where did you get the standard? You pulled it out of thin air. And that's what they're doing there. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. It's whatever they feel that day.
And I just now realized they had a camera on that computer looking at her phone so the judge could see it. But at the same time, all of these courts in California are going through a lawsuit with the Supreme Court because they're not recording the court cases.
But yes, they are, huh? Yes, they are. It's crazy.
I'm going to find out who's going through that court case, and I'm going to get in on it.
Yeah. Hell yeah, you need to. We got to figure that shit out, because that's wrong is wrong, you know?
Yeah.
All right, Toes. Well, thanks for coming on, my brother. I appreciate it. Yep. I'll be in touch with you very, very soon. And Tiff, it's time. It's way late for you. You're way past your bedtime. And for everybody else, have a good weekend. Keep CPS out of your lives. We'll catch you guys on Monday.
The hunters just became the hunted. Tiff and the Punisher. We're coming for you. Systems corrupt, snatching kids in the night. Foster care pipelines profit from the fight. Lies on the paper, judges paid off clean. Tearing up families, living out their dream. Equal and the same, we uncover the game. Foster care corruption, putting kids through the pain. Gunning for CPS, no mercy, no slack. We expose the truth, now you're under attack. You came for the children, thought you'd never fall. But the table's turning. Hear the battle call. When the hunters become the hunted, we are coming for you. When the hunters become the hunted, CPS, your time is through. Tiff and the Punisher rising from the flames, uncovering the lies, screaming out the names. When the hunters become the hunted, we are coming for you. Podcast dropping bombs, every episode raw. Real survivor stories breaking every law. You hunt the parents, label us all insane. But we flip the script, now you feel the pain. Gunning for CPS, equal and the same. Breaking down the system, screaming out your name. Foster care secrets buried in the dirt. We dig them up deep, watch the whole thing burn. You thought you were untouchable, hiding behind the stage. But the hunted are rising, it's already too late. When the hunters become the hunted, we are coming for you. When the hunters become the hunted, CPS, your time is through. Tiff and the Punisher rising from the flames, uncovering the lies, screaming out the name. When the hunters become the hunted, we
We know it's all about the money, we know they lie, we know this is corruption. Does CPS know what they are doing to the children?